The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.
And welcome into Your Game Plan for Retirement, where we always check in with author of the book, Income Allocation, David Gaylor. David, you've talked about the importance of making correct decisions with Social Security. I know this is a complex decision, and there are many different choices. What do the listeners need to understand about claiming and collecting their Social Security benefits?
First thing they need to understand is sit down with a qualified professional that understands how all of these things play into an effective retirement strategy. Social Security is a part of it. It's not all of it. Delaying your benefits while you're working makes perfect sense. Spending your capital to delay the benefit to get the higher payout, to me, doesn't always make sense. And unfortunately, that advice is given as blanket advice by some in the investment community. So the most important thing that I think people can understand regarding Social Security is to sit down with a qualified professional that understands how that plays a part in your retirement, but it's not your total retirement plan.
Well, folks, if you would like a complimentary Social Security analysis and report, all you have to do is get in touch with your local income allocation coach in Northern PA, the Poconos to Allentown, the Lehigh Valley. That is the team from ASC Financial Group, Ralph and Josiah Grauso at 800-939-8633.
I've known Ralph and Josiah for almost 10 years, and I want to tell you, the people of northeastern Pennsylvania, the Poconos and Allentown, give them a call at 800-939-8633. Schedule some time to visit with Ralph and Josiah Grauso. Call 800-939-8633.
For millions of Americans who retire every year, the task of ensuring that your money is working hard enough to provide you with a consistent paycheck can make the job of working for that paycheck seem easy. Retirement doesn't signal the end of financial worry. In fact, for the majority of retirees, it's just the beginning. The assets you have built must be able to provide you and your family with financial security for all the years to come. That's why you need a game plan for retirement, making sure you have a plan and that your money is working hard to provide you with an income you can depend on. This is Your Game Plan for Retirement.
And welcome into the program. This is Your Game Plan for Retirement, the show that challenges some of the traditional financial planning concepts and outdated conventional Wall Street wisdom on building for financial success. We talk about the income allocation model that can provide for more financial freedom in retirement through a foundation of predictable streams of income. And we always check in with your local income allocation coach on the program. He is Ralph Grauso, president and founder of ASC Financial, a retirement built to last. Ralph, welcome back to Your Game Plan for Retirement.
It's good to be back with you, Peter.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the program, sir, because we do get the kind of knowledge and information that I think, well, myself and the listeners can benefit from financially in a retirement that is built to last, and that is the motto of your company. Tell us why you have chosen that as your motto and what that stands for as far as you're concerned for what your company can do for individuals planning for retirement.
Well, you know, Peter, the number one fear of all retirees is running out of money. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of help out there to assist retirees with that fear. And so when we started our company, that was our main goal, was to provide retirees with a sound plan, a retirement that's built to last, that if they lived 25, 35 years, and today life expectancies in retirement are around that on average, that there would be a worry-free retirement, knowing that they would have adequate amount of income coming in over their retirement lifetime.
I know that ASC Financial Group is serving residents in and around the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos. Are you seeing that concern on the folks that are coming into your office, that they are worried about running out of money in retirement? And if so, what are some of the things that you can guide them in as far as helping them overcome that anxiety and that worry?
Well, you know, Peter, back, I would say even as short as 5-7 years ago, When I sat down with someone in my office and discussed their retirement, it would seem that their goals and objectives would be more of passing money on. They had a pension plan and Social Security that seemed adequate. But I'll tell you, Peter, in the last few years, I would say overwhelmingly the response of many of the folks we sit down with is that, Ralph, I am concerned about running out of money. And so what I think as a retiree needs to understand is that there are only limited resources that they have. They've got to make sure that their money is working at full capacity and that their plans are going to be set up so that they can adjust and change with the changing environments that we've seen, whether it's the volatility of the stock market or the low interest rates that we're facing out there. I mean, there's a lot of challenges today that retirees need to face, and having a sound plan is the first step in accomplishing that goal.
Well, to your point there, and I want to remind folks that if they would like to be in touch, if they have those concerns for themselves, if they would like to build a more secure retirement and a retirement built to last, all they need to do is give you a call. Ralph Grauso and ASC Financial Group are your local resource, your local income allocation coaches. They can be reached at 800-939-8633. Again, that number, 800-939-8633. But to your point about the number one concern of people being running out of money, I like to look up famous quotes from time to time, especially when looking at the financial planning aspect of some of the famous quotes of the past. And Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, a famous German writer and statesman, had once said that many people take no care of their money till they come nearly to the end of it, and others do just the same with their time. Do you find that a lot of people maybe could have avoided or prevented the reality of that fear of running out of money had they taken the time to care about their money a little sooner in life, Ralph?
It's interesting. I believe that most people plan a 2-week vacation than they do for a 30-year retirement. And, decisions that we make or do not make early on can have a tremendous effect on our retirement. And so I think it's extremely, extremely important to have a plan. There's that saying that says people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. And so that's what I hopefully bring to the Lehigh Valley and to the Pocono region is a resource so that people can sit down and put together a sound plan that they feel comfortable with, that they understand, and that they know that they can sleep at night knowing that there's a plan that's in place that will help them achieve their financial goals and objectives.
Absolutely. We don't want folks failing to plan or planning to fail. You want to plan for success. And a lot of that, folks, is the fact that you start on that initiative early on, not the day that you retire, maybe 5 to 10 years before you retire. You want to start evaluating what retirement is really going to look like for you. And Ralph Grauso and the team at ASC Financial Group can help you to that means. They can help you assess, review, and evaluate your investment portfolio, what you're paying in fees for your investments, how they are performing, what kind of risk you are exposed to, and what those investments will mean to you as far as your progress to and through retirement, what kind of goals they will help you achieve. If you would like to go through that detailed forensic financial review and analysis, all you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call. 800-939-8633 is the number to call. Again, that's 800-939-8633. Ralph, there truly is a fundamental transition when we get to retirement. It is a different time of our lives. We are performing different activities. And I understand that our finances also need to undergo a fundamental transition. And that change is really what the income allocation model is all about, isn't it? It is a different type and different style of plan that better reflects the needs of a retiree than the old asset allocation model did in previous times.
What I think we have to understand is that we do go through phases in our life and phases as it relates to our money, where during our working years, we're in the accumulation phase. We're looking at accumulating money. But when we get to retirement, we now have to start to look at preserving and conserving the money we've accumulated. And then more importantly, we've got to look at distribution of that money, how that money is going to be distributed to us over our lifetime. And then after we're gone, how is that money distributed to our families? And so I think the latter two, the preservation and the distribution, is where planning really needs to take place. And I'll tell you that it's the 5 years before retirement and the 5 years after retirement that is crucial to building a retirement to last 20, 30 years.
Why is that period of time in particular so important for us, Ralph?
Well, I think in a couple of ways. Number one, our risk tolerance. We have to take a look at and measure what our risk is. You know, as the 35-year-old or even a 45-year-old, I can take risk. I could take loss of my money knowing that I've got time to recoup some or all of that money. But when I'm nearing retirement, I've got to now look at that and say, am I too exposed to the market? I'll give you an example. We had met with someone, this was back in 1999, and he was retiring from the telephone company, and his entire 401k was invested in Lucent stock. And, you know, he worked for the company. He believed in the company. At the time we talked, I believe that stock was trading at $80 a share. And my concern was that, number one, I felt we were taking a lot of risk. But number two, all our eggs were in one basket. It was all in this Lucent stock. And when I made my concerns clear to him, his response to me was that I totally agree with you, Ralph. However, I really believe in all my heart that this stock is going to go to $100. And when it does, I'm going to then follow your advice. And for our listeners out there that might know of Lucent Technology stock back in the late 90s, that was when we got hit with that tech bubble. And that $80 a share, before it ever got to $100, dropped down to $2 a share. And his entire 401k was wiped out. He had to continue working because of the exposure that he had right before retirement. So I think, number one, we've got to take a look at our risk, evaluate our risk. Are we overexposed based on our age and the fact that we're nearing retirement? And then number two, we've got to do a budget. We've got to take a look at it and say, okay, in retirement, what kind of income are we going to need to continue our same standard of living? And I'm amazed how many times I meet with folks and there's no budget involved. So we help them there. We've got forms that they can use to help evaluate what their costs are going to be, what their income needs are going to be, and we can develop that budget so that we know as we move into retirement, there will be a smooth transition in terms of income and in terms of keeping our same standard of living.
Remember, folks, if you have questions, if you would like to get in touch with the team from ASC Financial Group, they do build a retirement that is built to last. Ralph Grauso is your local income allocation coach and can be reached if you have questions of your own at 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. Ralph, I have to ask you, though, budgeting, for somebody who has $500,000, $750,000, $1 million saved in their retirement accounts, isn't budgeting a little bit of an elementary exercise for somebody like that?
Absolutely not, Peter. I believe that people need to understand that whatever monies they have, whether it's $250,000, whether it's $1 million, everyone's going to have different income requirements. And we also have to take into consideration inflation. So what if I need, let's say, $60,000 a year to live on right now, what is that going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? That same $60,000 is going to purchase me less in terms of goods and services. So what is my plan to address that? Social Security, we believe, is not going to keep pace with inflation. Most pensions that we see is a level type of income that are not going to keep pace with inflation. So really, you have to own your own retirement. And so it becomes crucial, regardless of what you've saved to this point, to be looking at the impact of needing more money down the road because of inflation. And that's why the income allocation method works so well, because, many pundits out there, many advisors out there will utilize all of your money and say, okay, let's go ahead and draw income from this pot of money, whereby income allocation says, let's carve off a percentage of that, put it in the form of a guaranteed income, and then let the remainder grow to meet future needs and expenses down the road.
So a superior model there for helping people know predictably how much income they have to rely on throughout their retirement. That is the premise of the income allocation model, and using less of your portfolio to create that income. And folks, if you have questions about that, if that premise, if that idea, if that model of using less of your portfolio to create more stable, secure income appeals to you and your retirement plans, pick up the phone, give Ralph Grauso and the team from ASC Financial Group a call at 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. But Ralph, if I'm hearing you correctly, not only is it not an elementary type of exercise to look at budgeting, even if you have saved prudently and amassed a good portfolio, it might be the most important step that you can take. What are some of the things that you help people realize, figure out, and work through when going through those budgeting exercises so they can figure out what their retirement really is going to look like and how much they can depend on?
Well, in retirement, our needs begin to change a little. To the average working person, they probably spend the most amount of money on their day off, a Saturday. And in retirement, every day is a Saturday or Sunday. And so for many people, they're limited with a fixed income that they've got to be concerned what their outflow is. And so we develop a budget plan that will look at such things, not just necessary costs or fixed costs like taxes and health care, but also looking at some electives, travel, miscellaneous expenses, gifts to charity, gifts to children. I have 5 of them. They're probably my biggest charity. But looking at some intangibles and just taking a realistic approach to say, is my income needs, is it going to be there to provide for the same standard of living that I've been accustomed to?
And you mentioned Social Security, you mentioned pensions. I know that those two, in and of themselves, a lot of times have choices and options that people need to work through. In fact, Social Security, I know that's a huge decision on how to claim and collect Social Security, oftentimes very complex with far more choices than most people really realize. Are you able to help somebody work through the different decisions they have to make with claiming a pension or with figuring out how to go about collecting and when to collect their Social Security?
That's a good point, Peter. That's probably one of the biggest decisions and choices that people are going to be faced with is, when should I collect Social Security? How should I collect it? How's my pension work? Should I have survivorship income? And making sure that there's adequate income to my spouse, particularly if one of the spouses, the health might not be as good. Making sure that there's predictable income coming in to the surviving spouse. And what we do, Peter, is we do a Social Security analysis, which will take a look at the different options that they have and how to take Social Security. We do classes throughout the Lehigh Valley and Pocono area. And if anybody would like some more information on that, they can certainly give us a call at 800-939-8633, and we can give them a preview of some of the classes that we'll have coming up over the summer and early fall. But more importantly, we can do this analysis for virtually anyone that's nearing retirement. And it'll tell what is, for their situation, the best option to choose. And we found that many, many people, once they've collected Social Security and then met with us, wound up picking the wrong option. And unfortunately, with Social Security, once you pick that option, you are kind of locked into it for the rest of your life. And so picking the wrong option can mean several $100,000 over your lifetime. So that becomes critical, and understanding what your options are and selecting that. And along the same way, Peter, the pension, money companies will give employees choices as to how they want to take a pension. Some of them will offer you a lump sum. Some will say, in lieu of the lump sum, we will give a income payment to you at X amount of dollars. Some will offer survivorship at a reduced amount. So it becomes a little overwhelming to most folks as to say, well, what's the best for me? So we do the same thing. We do an analysis of their pension options to see for their individual situation what would be the best method in taking their pension income.
Well, folks, when you hear that making the decision between a correct and an incorrect choice in Social Security can potentially mean the difference in several hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your lifetime, that is as much as many people have saved for themselves that they may have lost out on by making that incorrect decision. So vitally important that you do choose correctly when it comes to Social Security. And I know it's not a one-size-fits-all or blanket answer. It is unique for each person's individual set of circumstances, and that's why it's important to have guidance when you're making that choice. Guess what? The Social Security Administration, that's not their job to provide that guidance. They are not going to give you the education when you come in that office, and that's why it's important that you educate yourself in advance and maybe do attend some of those classes that ASC Financial Group put on throughout the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos area. If you'd like to find out when those classes are being held, find out a little bit more information about them, or if you would like an individual Social Security review and analysis done for you. In fact, a comprehensive financial and retirement review and analysis. All you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call, 800-939-8633 for a retirement built to last. Call ASC Financial Group, 800-939-8633. And Ralph, you mentioned the fact that when one member of a married couple passes away, that they lose some of that Social Security. That's also very common with the pension, is that some of the income disappears. When you're talking about budgeting for retirement, is the loss of that income later in life something that you try to include in that retirement budget?
Yeah, survivorship income is one area we found where many people have not really taken a closer look at and have failed to plan for that in a proper way. And that's something that really needs to be zeroed in on, because the cost of living for one person or two people are going to be basically the same. And with the loss of one of their Social Securities and, as you said, possibly their pension, could be a devastating effect. I think the latest statistics tell us that a married couple that are, let's say, around age 65, there's a 60% chance that one of them will be celebrating their 92nd birthday. So particularly when it comes to married couples, we've got to look at survivorship planning, survivorship income planning, so that that surviving spouse does not have to rely on, government entitlements or their own children to finish out their retirement years.
Well, you mentioned how long we are living nowadays, and the fact that the 90s are so much more common now than they were even a generation or two generations ago. That longevity, I think it's everybody's goal to live a longer, healthier, happier lifetime. However, it's got to lead to problems and issues when you are planning to have a finite amount of money when you retire last for an unknown amount of time through retirement. So is longevity, in fact, an issue that you are having more and more difficulty as a financial planner, or that you are seeing retirees actually have more difficulties as a result of us living longer lifetimes?
Well, the two biggest risks that a retiree faces is longevity risk and sequence risk. And when we look at longevity risk, what we're basically saying is, if I retire at 65 or 66 and I only live a couple of years, well, you know what? It didn't matter if the stock market crashed. It didn't matter if I needed long-term care confinement, because I'm not there. But the longer we live, the more chances of these other risks coming into play. And so with income allocation, one of the benefits of planning that way is we take longevity risk off the table. And that has to be a main objective of every one of our plans, is that whether someone lives a couple of years or they live 30, 40 years into retirement, they're going to have a retirement that's built to last.
And again, that is the motto at ASC Financial Group, a retirement built to last. And folks, if you want your retirement built to last, you need to give your local income allocation coach, president and founder of ASC Financial Group, Ralph Grauso, a call. 800-939-8633 is the number to reach them. Again, that's 800-939-8633. And for you as a radio listener today, they're willing to set aside some of their time on a complimentary basis. You are under no obligation. It will cost you nothing to come in for that review and analysis of your game plan for retirement to make sure that you are doing the best things to work and achieve your financial goals through retirement. And Ralph, if you don't mind, can you hit on maybe some of the top items, the 3 or 4 measurable benefits that you feel you can offer that somebody will walk away from that review and analysis having realized for their financial planning?
I'd be glad to. Well, number one, I think, understanding their risk exposure and coupling that with their risk tolerance. Many people don't realize that their behavior does not match their feelings. And so, for example, I may be an investor that wants to take very little risk, but in fact, when we do an analysis of their plan, we see that they're taking a lot more risk than what they thought they were. So that would be the first thing that we can do, is do a risk analysis. And then secondly, we want to take a look at, what is the cost of the plan that you currently have now? Do you know what the compensation structure is? Is it fee only? Is it fee based? Is it commission based? None of those are right or wrong. It's just understanding what the fee is, what are you paying, and what are you getting for that fee? And then understanding what the products that we may have now, how they work. Many people, Peter, make financial decisions that are based on missing pieces of information and misconceptions and myths and quite honestly, sales hype. And so we want to dispel that. We want to make sure that folks understand what they have. And if it turns out that what they believe they have and what they actually have are two different scenarios, then we need to address that and take a look at it. So just that discovery process becomes extremely valuable in the planning process.
Well, folks, if you would like to go through that financial discovery to see if you have any red flags in your planning, to help you review and assess the amount of risk that is inherent in your investments and in your portfolio, if you would like to have a custom-designed income allocation built for you so you can have a retirement built to last, all you need to do is pick up the phone right now, because ASC Financial Group, Ralph Grauso and his team will meet with you to help you design that, review and evaluate your portfolio on a complimentary, no obligation, no cost basis. 800-939-8633 is the number to call. Again, that's 800-939-8633. So give them a call now, 800-939-8633. Ralph, we're just about out of time because on this program, time moves by very quickly, as it does in life. A lot of times, the future is here before we know it. It's important for folks to plan carefully so they can make the most of their financial future. We appreciate the guidance and the insight that you provide here on Your Game Plan for Retirement to help folks do that.
Thank you, Peter. It was great to be with you today.
And we'll look forward to talking with you again next week on Your Game Plan for Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences conferences and in webinars and met other membership requirements and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.